Well, greetings, Jeff Shore here, and I'm so excited to kick off this Dealing with Challenging Customers video series with you. Now, let's just start with a little bit of honesty here. I think if we look back at our own history, we could think of a time when we ourselves were challenging customers to others. Of course, we look back at it and say, well, yes, but it was justified in my case because ... But the reality is, when we're thinking about challenging customers, I think it's in our best interest to begin with a dose of understanding. What is the customer's journey all about in the first place? Now, look, you would probably suggest that there are some customers who are going to walk through the door with a chip on their shoulder, and I would tend to agree with that. The question is, where did that chip come from? Does this make them an evil person? Is there something intrinsically wrong? Or maybe they're really good and decent people who are going through a time of stress. But these are people who have real families, they go to real jobs, they attend real churches, they eat in real restaurants. But when you put them in a stressful situation, it's going to ratchet up the negative emotion. It would probably be best for you to be thinking, even before your customer comes through the door, what was going on? What were her experiences? What were his preconceived ideas? How did she feel about salespeople? Who has he been talking to? And when all those things come together, we see it in their behavior. But this leads us to a very, very important point, and it's the number one problem that salespeople make when dealing with challenging customers. They are confusing behavior with character. That is, we see some sort of negative or undesired behavior, and we believe that that is the individual, that represents who that person really is. And I want to look at it and say, no, it's how they are acting, but it does not make them who they are. They're going through a really challenging, stressful time, and that often manifests itself in negative behavior. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Stop making the mistake of judging character based on behavior. I think we'd be better off trying to get a sense of how to see the best in people and to understand that even though we might see a little of that challenging behavior, that these are still good and decent people. You know, I remember years ago talking to a great salesperson. Her name is Noreen, and one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. And I asked her the question. I said, Noreen, how do you deal with challenging people? How do you deal with mean customers? And this is what she said, no, I don't get any mean customers. My customers are all pretty darn nice. I said, come on, Noreen, every now and then you're going to get somebody who's just downright mean. You can admit it. And she said, no, I don't think so. Stressed out sometimes. I see people who are in the process. Maybe they've talked to a lot of salespeople. They're a little bit stressed out, but that doesn't make them mean. So I pressed her on it and I said, come on, Noreen, I sold for many years. You can be honest. Every now and then you get somebody who's just plain mean. What do you do with that person? And this was the response. She looked at me and she said, Jeff, can we talk about something else? Now, what was Noreen trying to convey to me? It's almost as if she was saying, do you have any idea how hard I work to see the best in the people who are coming through the door? And as soon as you convince me that there are mean people out there, one might show up in my office. Now, that's a great attitude. That is a great way to look at it, to see the best in the customers who are coming your way, even though the behavior is sometimes negative. And maybe we have to look at it this way. Who is in charge of your attitude? One of my favorite quotes of all time from the psychologist Viktor Frankl. Everything else can be taken from a man except for one thing, the last of the human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This is the idea. You get to choose your own attitude. You get to choose how to see the best in the people who are coming through your door. So how do you choose to see your own customers? You know, it was the late Wayne Dyer who once said, when we change the way we see things, the things that we see change. What if we tweak that just a little bit? When we change the way that we see people, the people that we see change. So win them over. convert them to your positive energy, and then you can go out there and change their world.